Hello, so this is my Stamina Nightblade PvP setup. This is could be used for multiple situations, so you can use it for ganking, although you have to pick your targets for that. You can use this for small scale, or you could use it for just joining the Zerg and being in a larger group, but it's really up to you. A lot of this stuff is also easy to obtain, and it doesn't take much time to farm. So we'll just get right into it. So as you can see, we have really low health, like 14.4k, so that's quite low, but we compensate for it because we're a Nightblade and we can just bitch out of situations. So I'll show you the two setups, and I'll show you the reason why we have the low health. The two setups is Night Mother Gaze. So first we have Night Mother's Gaze. It's all impen and all stam enchants, body pieces, and then we have Bone Pirate, and also max stam and weapon damage for the jewelry. So that means we have different weapons. So the reason why we have such a low health is because of Bone Pirate. Bone Pirate, it's only active on a drink buff, and if I was to use like the max health, max stam food, it wouldn't work. So this is why we're using this, because it is considered a drink, and it gives us that extra little bit of stam damage. So that's really nice to have. So those are the two sets we're running, and then the two weapons that we're running. So first one is the Asylum's Maul. Asylum's Maul with Oblivion damage enchant. Just because I use this for CP and no CP. So with CP, I find Oblivion damage enchant very useful. You could switch this to Sharpened, but we're trying to not switch it to Sharpened. That's why we have a Nirnhound here. You could also go with Infused here instead with the Oblivion enchant to really just penetrate through shields and stuff. But that is good as it is. We're using the Maul. I would have to do the math myself, but I trust people's stuff on Reddit, so I saw there was an article, or like just a text post where someone said the Maul outweighs swords and axes in most situations, so overall I'm going with the Maul. But if I was to use the two-handed ult instead of the ult that I'm using right now, which is a possibility, you should go with the sword because it gives that 5% extra damage done, and this is and it completely ignores resistances anyway, so you wouldn't need them all. But the 20% ignore of resistance with the Maul is nice, coupled with this, because we are a stam tune, and the stam tunes don't have that built-in penetration like other places, like other Magicka tunes do into their armor. And we're also running all medium armor. You could switch the two of them to like heavy and light for the Undaunted bonus if you want, but you could also just run all medium for the extra recovery, and I'll show you what else. And on the back bar we have the Master's Bow with poison, so we don't have a damage enchant. I was running the enchant, and you could also put this to sharpen, but because we're running poisons, I just switched this to Nirnhound for that extra bit of damage. And the poisons we're using, just standard damage health poisons, just to be annoying. I only run poisons in CP. I feel like that's the only time where you really need them, but other than that, you don't really need them. And what the Master's Bow does, it increases poison arrow, so that's poison injection or venom arrow. But if you're in PvP, you should probably be running poison injection, because it's also an execute for us. So that's the setup for gear. You can sort of see some of the stats right here, but I'll show the stats window after. And now we'll go into the abilities. So first, the abilities. Okay, there we go. We have Ambush. So this is the gap closer. I think almost all stam Nightblades have this, just because it is an amazing gap closer. You get that Empower, 20% extra damage for your next attack, which is incredibly helpful because the combo is usually, well, what I do is ambush and then a heavy attack, like a fully charged heavy attack, and that will do a ton of damage. If you don't do that, you do like your ambush, surprise attack, and then a heavy attack, same thing, it'll do a ton of extra damage. But it's really up to your combo, but whatever you do after does great damage. So instead of running like Stampede or Crit Rush here, we have Ambush, because if I was to run it with this setup, you'd have to have the Maelstrom. The Maelstrom, I should have got it. Oh, where's the banker? There we go. And the Maelstrom one is a dot, actually. So Maelstrom, as you can see there, it's just a dot. And then people can cleanse that off, and it doesn't do that much damage. Where I think the Ambush does a fair amount of immediate damage immediately, and then stuns them, and you get that Empower, so much more useful, in my opinion. And this is the reason why we are running medium armor. So Shuffle is the biggest reason. So you get 15% mitigation automatically for just using an ability, which is amazing, and then you also remove snares for half a second, so that's nice. So with that medium armor, you have to have 5 pieces now. I forget which patch included them. Was it Morrowind? No, can't be. It was after Morrowind. One's of the Reach? Clockwork? One of them, you have to have 5 pieces, so that's why we switched to this. Also, Nightblades are built off of burst damage. They do a really good job at doing a bunch of damage really quickly, and to do that, I feel medium armor is more suited for it over heavy armor, because you can do a good amount of damage with heavy armor, but you'd have to wait to oh, we don't have that anymore. They took it away. So yeah, medium armor it is overall. There used to be one where if you're like taking damage, you do extra damage done, but I feel this is much better than. So you see extra crit from it. Stam recovery. Stam reduces the cost, which is always nice. The sneak, 50% less for sneak. That's amazing. And then also detection, because if you're sneaking around, you don't want to be detected, especially on the Nightblade, because that's part of the thing. Increase the weapon damage 5 pieces, which is nice, and then you get that extra little bit of roll dodge reduction, which is also very key for Nightblades. So Shuffle, that's the reason why we're running medium armor. So we have Rally. Rally is the big heal, an amazing heal you can use, and it also gives us weapon damage. What you can do also is if you are under taking in a lot of damage, you can just cloak and then rally, and your heal will be a crit heal, and you will do a fair amount of you'll get a fair amount of health back. So that's a great ability to have. And then we have surprise attack. This is the main damage dealer. This is like your spammable when you are attacking. We have, like, all of our abilities are single target. We don't have any AoE abilities. And this is the one that you would use. So it does Major Fracture, which helps again with the penetration, along with Night Mother's Gaze. And then you also can stun the enemy as well and set them off balance. That's only when you're sneaking, though. But this is a great spammable ability. And then, because we're running the Asylums, which is the Asylums Ball, I should probably gold this out, but I don't have any alloys. We're running the two-handed Execute. So instead of, this guy started out as a Ganking class. He's a Wood Elf. But I switched him over. It depends on your playstyle. If you're in more single target, then go with Executioner. But if you're more in a group and you want that like AoE-ish damage, you should go with Reverse Slice, because then it'll start to damage other targets as well. So this is a great Execute to have as well. Yeah, so we're not going with Killer's Blade here, which is the other one. If you didn't have this two-hand weapon. Just go with Killer's Blade because there's no point in running this. And then the ult in cap, just the standard Nightblade skill for the ult. We're running this over Dawnbreaker. Feels better single target, and then also it does that major defile. So even if you don't kill them right away with your whole combo, when they're trying to heal themselves, they won't heal as much. So that's very good. And then also, as you can see there, increases your damage against them by 20%. So that's amazing. So that's why we're running that. Now, on the back bar, we have the reason why we're running Master's Bow is for this ability specifically, Poison Injection. It's another execute. So when you do enter, I should probably get rid of that guy. When you do enter combat, you can also just pop off a Poison Injection before you actually even engage. Just like that. And it's a great little dot to have going on while, oh my god, are you serious? While you're fighting someone, and it could be the damaging tick that kills them. And I've had that on multiple occasions where Poison Injection was the one that killed them, but it was the dot damage, not the actual initial shot. And then that's just amplified with the Master's Bow. Okay. And now we have Shadowy Disguise. So this is like the main ability. This is like to get the fuck out of here. I hate fighting Nightblades just because they always just pop it, run away, and then just pop it and run away. Super annoying. And as you can see, we morphed to Shadowy Disguise because you get that guaranteed crit strike with your next attack. Within 3 seconds. So you can use that in a lot of different combos and do a great amount of damage. Or you can just use it to get away and heal, like I showed you before. Next we have Relentless Focus for that minor berserk. This is why you don't need to run Slime Crawl on a Nightblade. Just run this ability instead and then switch the monster set to something else if you do want to run a monster set. And then also you get that extra recovery, so that's amazing as well. And then if you do hit enough of them, like light and heavy attacks, you can also get that extra bow damage, like that Spectral Bow, Assassin's Scourge. And we have Resolving Vigor next, just because for another heal. I don't like to have only one heal on the bar, I like to have multiple. And this is the flex spot, so you can switch a lot of things here. This is where you can like change this. You can have the same bars except for this one and make it into a whole nother sort of guy. So you could switch the gear and everything, have the same bars and still produce really good results. So if you wanted to gank, let's say, you could have all the same abilities and then have Lethal Arrow here instead, and then do that Lethal Arrow, heavy attack, Poison Inject combo jump in thing. I'll just demonstrate. So if you were to gank, so 62k, what you could do, and this is oh, I didn't even equip it. Then you charge a heavy attack all at once, and then that's it. Okay, let me just kill this guy too. Okay, so you could do something like that. And if you're in a larger group and you don't want to run this single target, you could run Mass Hysteria. Mass Hysteria is great, it does that fear, and then also that minor maim, which is very, very useful. The other thing, if you want to gank, you could also have the Shade here instead. And the Shade, and then you could morph it to the Shade where if you re-trigger it, you teleport back to your Shade. Some Nightblades like to do that sort of style. It's up to you. But that's another popular one. And then something else, you could put Mark Target here instead, and then switch out Surprise Attack, or you could run both. I've seen people run both as well. Also very useful. It's really up to you. I run leeching strikes here for better survivability. You get more stam, you get health back from your light and heavy attacks, and I'm light attacking and heavy attacking all of the time, so it's really useful for me. But this is where it's up to you. And if you were to gank, I wouldn't be running this particular set, but you can gank. But like I said in the beginning of the video, you have to be very particular in the targets that you choose. You can't just start ganking anyone. But if you are ganking in general, that's just a general rule. You have to be looking out for the specific people to gank. You can't just be going around ganking everyone. And the reason why I just use the ult there is I want to actually show you something. So if there's something like this, where it has 1 health, it says, and you can use the asylum weapon, you can just hit it and you automatically gain that bonus right away. So 1 shot, as you can see, 14 ult right away. That's insane. So if there's a, and it's supposed to only work if it's under 50%, but if you one-shot it, it'll also work. So then you just instantly get 14 ult. This can, you can use this in dungeons if you're like someone who uses a 2-hand and you're using this as an execute. You can use that in dungeons and just hit like scorpions and spiders that are just around the area. Just, that was the little demonstration. But as I said, with the flex spot, and lastly we have soul tether. So I have soul tether for the AoE stun. We're only using this for the stun. You get like a little bit of health back. You could use this to like help you clear guards if you're failing at it, but not necessary. I don't know why I have the skin on actually. Sorry, it's bothering me. But you could just this is also a flex spot. You could run ballista here instead, or toxic barrage if you want to run that, but because you don't have to be running this is just my other thing. Or you could even run, if you want to have Dawnbreaker, you could run Dawnbreaker there instead. It's up to you. Or you could have another, what I generally like to do is have an offensive ult, defensive ult. You can also run Veil here, and then just have an extra little bit of protection. So like I said, those last 2 spots are really up to you, and you can choose what you want there. But that's it. Now we're going to go into the stats. So you can see I'm a Wood Elf. You could be Wood Elf here, Khajiit, Redguard's good as well. With Redguard, you probably don't need to have Leeching Strikes unless you want that heal. But if you are Redguard, you could probably switch it out and then have another damage ability there, like one of the options I was saying, or choose something else that you like. I know some people are using Scatter Shot or Draining Shot now. That Draining Shot for the knockback. This one. So some people use this, some people use this instead of here in PvP, I've started to notice. But like I said, that's up to you. So Wood Elf, be Redguard, Khajiit, Wood Elf, what else? You could be an Argonian. I've seen some really successful Nightblades be Argonians, but that's not what I would go. This is like the min-max, but it's really up to you. Just don't be like a Magicka user. And so as you can see, this is the back bar, sitting at about 27 and 2700 weapon damage, which is higher than the front bar, but that's okay because we do buff up. It's 3.1. What? How? Why is it only? It was just 3.3. Okay, whatever. That's weird. But so 3.1k weapon damage, but we get around that with all that extra penetration from both Major Fracture and then also Nightmiller's Gaze. We have about 10k max Magicka. Actually, the max Magicka is 10k here, because this is the bar we are going to be using the ability on, so that's why I just want to show that. Then we have like 35k max stam, 46% crit. The stam recovery, 2k. So with this build, I feel like 2k is a fair amount. So with all the reduction of like roll dodge, sneak and everything, it's really helpful. So if you roll dodge and then you want to sneak and cloak away from someone, you can do that. And then you're revealed again, you can roll dodge. And it just allows you to have that extra bit of recovery by roll dodging. So 2k stam is a fair amount, and that's where I would sit around. 2k could be like a couple hundred less, but around there is a good amount to put it at. And then resistances, I know, are low, but if you do use one of the shadow abilities, you get it for 6 seconds. Yeah, you get the major resistances for 6 seconds, so right there. So it's about 20k, let's say, close enough. But your resistances do go up as well. And if you are attacking, you can use surprise attack, and then it'll also proc off of that. Okay, and we're running the Warrior Mundus, and we are a vamp, but you don't need to have the vamp. The vamp, I just use it because you get this extra mobility, this, and then also for that 10% extra stam recovery. So those are the two things that are useful for it, but you do not have to be a vamp. And I would recommend not being a vamp, actually, but again, that's up to you. And then the food for the bone pirate. Okay, so I believe that is it. Oh, also, if you were ganking, I'll like do another video, but I'll just quickly show you one of the interesting setups I have. So no one uses Archer's Mind, so that's one of them. And then I paired it with Vice Cannon, because you are a Nightblade and you have a Shadow Disguise. So those two sets combined can produce some nasty results, and I'll just leave it at that. But this is just my general Stamina Nightblade PvP build. I should probably do a video of gameplay just to show how it actually performs. But this is it. It's great for beginners too, because it's all easy stuff to obtain. It's Blackheart Haven, and then you can craft Night Mother's Gaze really easily, or just buy Night Mother's Gaze stuff. But I hope this helps, and I hope you like the video. So thanks for watching.